therefore fear, lest the promise being left us of entering into his rest, any of you should seem to come short of it. For unto us was the gospel preached, as well as unto them. But the word preached did not profit them, not being mixed with faith in them that heard it. This chapter, first chapter of Numbers, and it sets the stage for the meaning of the book, because the chapter opens up with the numbering and the counting of each of the tribes of Israel. Verse 45 rather. So were all those that were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their fathers, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war in Israel. Even all they that were numbered were 600,000 and 3,550. 600,000, 3,550. They'll play the number game, multiplying, subtracting, dividing. That's a good number to play with. I just get a lot out of that. But the Levites, after the tribe of their fathers, were not numbered among them. You might wonder why? Because they'll be continued right down through the church. Therefore, the number was not fixed yet. For the Lord has spoken unto Moses, saying, Only thou shalt not number the tribe of Levi, neither take the sum of them among the children of Israel. But thou shalt appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of testimony, and over all the vessels thereof, and over all things that belong to it. They shall bear the tabernacle, and all the vessels thereof, and they shall minister unto it, and shall encamp round about the tabernacle. It's very clear in that one verse, this is a real special tribe to God, because he gave them charge concerning the most spiritual elements in the congregation, that being the tabernacle and everything pertaining to the tabernacle. When the tabernacle setteth forward, the Levites shall take it down. And when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up. And the stranger is any other tribe, that cometh nigh shall be put to death. And the children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man by his own camp, and every man by his own standard, throughout their host. But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacle of testimony, that there be no wrath upon the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep charge of the tabernacle of testimony. A big detail in this verse. The Levites position in the camp kept back the wrath of God from the congregation. You can see in just that one reading how important the Levites are. Chapter 3. Verse 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Bring the tribe of Levi near, and present them before Aaron, the priest, that they may minister unto him. The tribe of Levi was the high priest, Aaron, personal ministers. They served Aaron. They should take his charge, meaning his orders, and the charge of the whole congregation before the tabernacle of the congregation, to do the service of the tabernacle. And they should keep all the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the children of Israel to do the service of the tabernacle. And thou shalt give the Levites unto Aaron and to his sons. They are wholly given unto him out of the children of Israel. And thou shalt appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall wait on their priest office, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, And I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel, instead of all the firstborn that opened up the matrix among the children of Israel. Therefore the Levites shall be mine, because all the firstborn are mine. From the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I held unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. Mine shall they be. I am the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, Number the children of Levi after the house of their fathers, by their families, every male from a month old and upward, shalt thou number them. And Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord, as he was commanded. Chapter 16. This is the story of the rebellion of Korah, Dathan, and the Bible. Verse 8. And Moses said unto Korah, Hear, I pray you, ye sons of Levi, seemeth it but a small thing unto you, that the God of Israel hath separated you from the congregation of Israel, to bring you near to himself, to do the service of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister unto them. And he hath brought thee near to him, and all thy brethren, the sons of Levi, with thee, and seek ye the priesthood also. for which cause both thou and all thy company are gathered together against the Lord. And what is Aaron? That you murmur against him. And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, we will not come up. It is a small thing that thou hast brought us up out the land that flows with milk and honey. Y'all reading this? It's talking about Egypt. To kill us in the wilderness, except thou makest thyself altogether a prince over us. Moreover, thou hast not brought us into a land that flows with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put up the eyes of these men? We will not come up. Deuteronomy chapter 10. At that time the Lord separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord to minister unto him, and to bless in his name unto this day. Wherefore Levi hath no part, no inheritance with his brethren. The Lord is his inheritance, according as the Lord thy God promised him. One more scripture in 1 Chronicles. Chapter 15. This is when the Ark of the Covenant had been taken away from Israel. The Ark of the Covenant was that gold box that was nothing less than the house of God himself. And they were going to bring the Ark of the Covenant back into the camp of Israel. And David made him houses in the city of David, and prepared a place for the ark of God, and pitched for it a tent. The reason David is called a man after God's own heart is because nobody in the scriptures was more concerned about the things of God than David. As long as the Ark of the Covenant was missing, David was not comfortable. And he made plans to get it back again. It says David prepared a place for the Ark of God and pitched a tent for it, a special tent. Then David said, none ought to carry the Ark of God but the Levites. For them hath the Lord chosen to carry the Ark of God and to minister unto him forever. Now, whether you know it or not, you fall under the forever clause as being those that God has called to minister unto him in his tabernacle and his service. And God establishes forever. It transcends the Old Testament. It transcends the church, as it's called in the scriptures, the church in the wilderness. The Levites and their role and their call and their responsibility moves right into the church. And their office and the charges God gave them are no different today in the church than they were back then. With me? Yeah. All right. 1 Peter. chapter 2. Wherefore, laying aside all malice, and all guile, and hypocrisies, and envies, and all evil speakings, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby, if so be you have tasted that the Lord is gracious, to whom coming, as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God, and precious. This part I'm not going to get into detail because it's deep. But makes a personal reference to that great building, the East of Pantone, called the Great Pyramid. Have you ever seen that pyramid? The big one. It's missing the chief cornerstone. If you walk around Los Angeles downtown here, you'll notice that in the buildings, most of them, have the cornerstone. It'll tell when the foundation was laid, who owns the building, or maybe who the CEO of the company was at that time, or the chief architect. But the chief cornerstone does not lay down the corner of the building. A chief cornerstone must touch all four sides. And it says that this cornerstone was disallowed of men. Meaning when they built the Great Pyramid, the story goes that the chief cornerstone, when it's cut, didn't fit. And to this day, it's never been put on. It does one thing, it makes it very clear that that building, the building owned by God. No one building in the world has received more commentary and study than the Great Pyramid. To this day, they can't understand how it was built. We're talking about a building where the concrete that holds the stones together is thinner than a strand of your hair. It's been erroneously said that Cheops built the Great Pyramid. He didn't do it. Carbon dating is not the most reliable way of determining the age of something. Always been used a lot. But it said the pyramid, Great Pyramid, was around 4,000 plus years old. It is never true. How many earthquakes has that building seen? And it still stands solid. More accurate dating has shown the pyramid to be a little over 13,000 years old. It was already standing when the latest great dark cabal took over the earth. It's already there as a witness. The one they're trying to get rid of now, angelic power. They're trying to kick out, having a hard time doing it. What they would not tell you in Sheldon Knightl's writings, writing for the interplanetary group, he doesn't tell you that this dark cabal is one of theirs. Jesus told you.
Yes.
He said, a kingdom divided against itself can't stand. He said, if Satan's kingdom be divided against itself, it can't stand. What was Jesus saying? His kingdom is divided. He has all kind of factions. Right now, he's trying to kick out one of his own that's been in charge of this earth for 13,000 years to bring in another one. Another one he's bringing in will be the head of the one world government, known by the title of Antichrist. He's the one designated by Satan and by scriptures, corroborated by scriptures, to rule the world in a very short time from now. It used to be that when you talk about prophecies of this nature, you're looking at years and years and years, centuries, perhaps millennia. Now, when speaking of this event, you're looking at a period whereby he'll come to power and be put out of power, and all the things that were written by Daniel about this last kingdom going to come. You're talking about all these things coming to pass and going off the scene within a period of 8 years. That's how close we are. Which means the coming of the Lord will take place before it all starts. 8 years from now, wraps things up in the year 2021, about. And he has a 7-year period of time for the 7th week of Daniel to take place. That means the church has to leave here when?
This year.
This year.
That's right.
You've heard about that all your life in church. About the coming of the Lord. Well, the church is satisfied to say he's coming soon. Doesn't work for me anymore. He was coming soon in Paul's day. Paul made a statement, 1 Corinthians 15. We shall not all sleep. A revolutionary truth when Paul spoke it. He said, but we shall all be changed. When?
A moment.
In a moment. What else? In the twinkling of an eye. God's been impressing upon us over weeks that he's the best writer in the world. Nobody can economize the words better than God. Here's a God who told the entire creation story. That's the whole story of creation. I've taught for years. The verse 2 says, and the earth became without form and void, indicating clearly that a judgment took place between verse 1 and verse 2. And verse 3, when God said, let there be light, begins a recreation story. But God told the whole creation story in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words. Why would God take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we had 9 altogether, to say fast? Then the last part, what Paul said, he says when? At the last trump. Well, that means absolutely nothing to us. Regarding time, Paul never says what the last trump is. Or look at this expression here, in a moment. In a moment before what? In a moment after what? In a moment during what? Apply the same question to the twinkling of an eye. Before twinkling of an eye, during the twinkling of an eye, after twinkling of an eye. There's no time reference given. In the last trump, he not does not tell us what it is. He says nothing at all when it is. And why would God mention an event so great in scriptures about the last trump and not tell you what or when it is?
Right.
Those are not God's ways. God's claim to fame, in case you don't know it, number one, sheer power. Sheer power to do whatever he chooses to do. Number two, claim to fame. Cannot lie. What makes God especially unique is his ability to tell not only what he's going to do, but to say when.
Right.
And he does it all through the Bible. And yet we're living in a day when the church thinks or believes in the greatest event upon which the entire Bible is built upon, and the entire plans of God are built upon. They think no man knoweth and can know. All of a sudden, God breaks all of his principles that he's established from Genesis right straight through. He talked about a flood to come. He says, yet his days shall be 120 years. Well, if you're around when God spoke those words, all you got to do is add 120 to it, and you got a date. Easy for Noah to do. Noah's 480 years old when God spoke those words to him. But God didn't tell Noah the time. God just simply stated the time in the record, but it tells us that Noah entered into the ark in the 600th day of his life. And he turned 600. The flood came. Just take 600 minus 120, he's around 480 years old when God gave him the message. He told Abraham, your people are going to be sojourners and slaves in the country. You're going to serve him 430 years. If you're around, you're Abraham, when God spoke that to you, you have a date when they would come out of Egypt. We're told in Exodus 12, verse 38, it says, on the self-same day, to the very day, after 430 years, they came out of Egypt. The same day they walked in, 430 years later, they walked out. That's a powerful God.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes.
To talk about nations, his people, and other nations, like it's no problem. The fact that Egypt is the greatest empire in the world was no problem to God. He said, they'll come out on that day. I'll make it happen. That's powerful. You agree?
Yes.
Told Jeremiah, when they were taken into captivity by the Babylonians under Nebuchadnezzar, he told Jeremiah, they'll be there for 70 years. Around the 67th year, Daniel, who was a captive in Babylon, discovered the writings of Jeremiah, and Daniel realized that there's 3 more years to go, and he began to make prayers and intercession, ready himself spiritually to leave Babylon and go back to Judea again. Babylon was the strongest empire in the world. And God prophesied to them, his word went out, they're going to be taken captives by Babylon, and in 70 years to the day, I'm going to bring them out of Babylon's captivity. Against all odds. And he did it. Nebuchadnezzar's grandson was throwing a party. So they got drunk. Took the Lord's utensils, the things that the Levites were in charge of, and began to use them and drink out his golden glass, his golden cups and everything else. And a hand came up on the wall and began to write. Wrote a scary message. Meaning, tickle your father. Your kingdom's numbered. And it's finished. It's going to be turned from the Medes and the Medes and the Persians. And that night, Medo-Persia came in and took the empire. After how long? 7 years. And the king, the new king, set them free. They wrote a decree to go back to Egypt. He told Daniel, 70 weeks. Or they turn upon thy people. Each week been 7 years. So God said, 490 years, I'll finish everything. Messiah be cut off at the end of the 69th week. When the Messiah died. 31 AD. If time had just ticked right on, 7 more years after that, it would have been over in 38 AD. What did God do? He had the church come into existence. He had a freezing of the time, a gap in time. And right now, the church occupies the end of the 69th week, and the church believes that the last 7 years will tick off, but to declare something like that about empires and nations, and what you're going to do and what you're going to do in advance, and give information as to when, that's mind-boggling.
Yes.
You mean he's not going to tell us what the last trump is? He won't tell us when it blows? And God's been progressively telling us that message how long now? Since 95. Make it very clear. That's the 14th year. I mean, he had, well, that's what's going to, not the message. This is the year of the coming of the Lord.
Amen.
Amen.
Make no mistake about it.
Amen.
And you as priests of God should be gearing yourselves and engineering your lives for that great day.
Yes.
Let's read some more here. To whom coming, as unto a living stone, disallowed indeed of men, but chosen of God, and precious. You also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house and holy priesthood. This is a term that he never applied to the priests in Israel. He never called them holy. Go back to your father Levi. What did he say about Levi and Simeon? He said, instruments of cruelty are in their hands. And for one who's an instrument of cruelty, God created a priesthood, but never called it holy. You're a holy priesthood. What for? What's your job? To offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable by God, to God, by Jesus Christ. That question, the message